The sun was setting over the Ganghwa salvage yards when Taeyang wiped the grease from his hands. He had been working for 12 hours straight, and his back ached. The junkyard stretched out before him like a metal ocean. Broken ships, old satellites, and discarded machinery covered the ground as far as he could see. Taeyang was 32 years old and had spent half his life fixing things that other people threw away. He was good at it. Better than the fancy engineers who worked in the clean corporate towers of Neo Seoul. They had their degrees and their textbooks. Taeyang had something different. He understood machines in a way that couldn't be taught in schools. The junkyard was closing soon. Taeyang knew he should head home. But something pulled him toward the eastern section. This area was old, filled with debris from Earth's first wars in space. Nobody came here much anymore. The good salvage had been picked clean years ago. He walked between piles of twisted metal, his boots crunching on rust and broken glass. His scanner beeped quietly in his pocket. It was just doing its usual job, mapping the area and checking for anything valuable. But then the beeping changed. It became faster, more urgent. Taeyang pulled out the scanner and frowned. The readings didn't make sense. There was something ahead giving off a strange energy signature. It wasn't human technology. He knew human tech inside and out, and this was different. He climbed over a collapsed hull of an old transport ship. On the other side, he stopped and stared. Half buried in the dirt and covered with scrap metal was a ship unlike anything he had seen before. It was smooth, where human ships were angular. Its hull had a strange purple-gray color that seemed to shift in the dying light. The design was beautiful, almost organic, like it had been grown rather than built. Taeyang's heart beat faster. He had found alien vessels before, but they were always worthless husks. The good technology had been stripped out long ago. But this one, his scanner said it still had active power cells. He moved closer, brushing away dirt and debris. The hull had damage. There were scorch marks and what looked like weapons impacts. But underneath the damage, the ship was intact. Beautiful, his radio crackled. Taeyang, you still out there? It was Do-Yun, his supervisor. Do-Yun was 50 years old and had worked at the junkyard since before Taeyang was born. Yeah, I'm here, Taeyang said, not taking his eyes off the ship. We're closing up. Time to go home. Taeyang hesitated. He should report this find. That was the rule. Any alien technology had to be logged and reported to the Galactic Salvage Authority. But something stopped him. I'll be right there, he said. He took photos with his scanner, marking the location carefully. Then he covered the ship back up with scrap metal, making it look like just another pile of junk. His hands were shaking slightly. He didn't know why he was hiding this, but his instincts told him to wait. When he got back to the main building, Do-Yun was locking up. The older man looked tired. Long day? Yeah, Taeyang said. Found some good parts, though. Old reactor cores. Might be worth something. Do-Yun nodded, barely listening. He was already thinking about home, about dinner, and rest. Good work. See you tomorrow. Taeyang didn't sleep well that night. He kept thinking about the ship. In his small apartment, he pulled up his scanner data and studied it. The ship was Velthran. He was sure of it. The Velthran had been one of the most advanced races in known space. Their technology was legendary, but they had disappeared 30 years ago. Just gone. Every single one of them. No one knew why, and now Taeyang had found one of their ships. He called his sister, Hana. She was younger than him by 5 years and worked as a data analyst in the city. She was smart with computers and information systems in a way that Taeyang was smart with machines. It's late, she said when she answered. This better be good. I need your help, Taeyang said. Can you search for any information about Velthran ships? Specifically, any that might have crashed near Earth? The Velthran? Hana sounded more awake now. Why? Hana, just curious, he lied. Something I saw today. There was a pause. Hana knew him too well. You found something. Maybe. Taeyang, if you found alien tech, you have to report it. You know the laws. I will, he said. I just want to know what I'm dealing with first. Can you help me? Or not? Hana sighed. Fine. But you owe me. Again. The next morning, Taeyang arrived at the junkyard before dawn. He told Doyun he wanted to work the eastern section, looking for more reactor parts. Doyun waved him off. Not caring, Taeyang went straight to the buried ship. In the early morning light, it looked even stranger. He spent an hour clearing away the debris that covered it. The ship was small, maybe 30 meters long. A corvette, probably. Built for a crew of 5 or 6. He found the airlock on the port side. It was sealed, but his tools could handle it. As a mechanic, Taeyang had equipment for breaking into damaged ships. It took him 20 minutes to bypass the lock. The airlock hissed open, and stale air rushed out. Taeyang pulled on his breathing mask and turned on his headlamp. The beam of light cut through the darkness inside. He stepped into the ship. The corridor was clean. Too clean for a ship that had been buried for who knows how long. The walls were covered in symbols he didn't recognize. They glowed faintly in his light. A soft blue-green color. Everything was quiet except for his breathing. Taeyang moved forward carefully. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. The ship felt empty, dead. But his scanner still showed power somewhere deep inside. The corridor led to a central chamber. It was round, with stations arranged in a circle. This must have been the bridge. The controls were dark, but they looked undamaged. In the center of the room was a pillar of some kind of crystal. It pulsed very faintly with light, so dim he almost missed it. Taeyang approached the crystal. As he got closer, his scanner went crazy. The energy readings spiked. The crystal was a power source, and it was still active after all these years. He reached out to touch it. The moment his fingers made contact, everything changed. The lights came on all at once, flooding the bridge with soft illumination. Symbols appeared on every surface, spinning and reorganizing. A humming sound filled the air. Taeyang jumped back, his heart pounding. What had he done? Then a voice spoke. It came from everywhere at once, filling the chamber. The words were in a language he didn't understand. But then they shifted. Changed. Became Korean. Biological signature detected. Species identified. Human. Beginning evaluation protocol. OPS content 4. On rounds. OPS content 4. Taeyang stared around the bridge, trying to find the source of the voice. Who? What are you? I am this vessel's intelligence system, the voice said. It sounded almost curious. You may designate me, Navix. I have been waiting for someone like you. Tell me, human. How did you get past my security protocols? Taeyang swallowed hard. I just opened the door. It wasn't that hard. There was a pause. Then, something that might have been laughter. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Taeyang stood frozen in the middle of the bridge. The lights bathed everything in a soft glow. Symbols continued to move across the walls like living things. The voice that called itself Navix was silent now. Waiting. You're an AI, Taeyang said finally. An artificial intelligence. That is correct, Navix replied. Though I am unlike the artificial intelligences your species creates. The Velthran built me differently. The Velthran. Taeyang looked around the bridge with new eyes. Everyone says they disappeared. That they all died or left or something. Nobody knows what happened to them. They are gone, Navix said simply. I am what remains. Taeyang felt a chill run down his spine. How long have you been here? In this junkyard? 17 years, 4 months, and 12 days. All that time, this ship had been buried under junk, waiting. Taeyang pulled off his breathing mask. The air inside the ship was stale but breathable. He sat down at one of the bridge stations. His mind was racing. Why did you wake up when I touched that crystal? He asked. The crystal is my primary power core, Navix explained. I was in hibernation mode to conserve energy. Your touch activated my proximity sensors, but I must correct you. I did not wake up because you touched the core. I woke up because a human touched the core. What's the difference? Everything, Navik said. The lights flickered slightly. This ship was designed to respond only to your species. Only humans can fully activate my systems. Taeyang frowned. That doesn't make sense. Why would the Velthran build a ship that only works for humans? We're not even that advanced compared to most aliens. An excellent question, Navik said. One I am not yet authorized to answer. First, you must prove yourself worthy. Worthy of what? Instead of answering, Navix changed the subject. I have been damaged. My systems are failing. The crash 17 years ago caused problems I cannot fix myself. If you wish to learn more, you must help me. Taeyang stood up and walked around the bridge. His mechanic's eye was already assessing the ship. What needs fixing? Multiple systems. I will start with something simple. One of the wall panels slid open, revealing a mess of damaged circuits. This is my secondary navigation array. It has been offline since the crash. Can you repair it? Taeyang approached the panel and pulled out his tools. He studied the circuits carefully. They were alien technology, completely different from anything human. The connections didn't make sense. The power flow was wrong by every rule he knew. But as he looked closer, he started to see patterns. Not human patterns, but patterns nonetheless. I need to access your technical specifications, he said. Your ship's manual, or whatever you have. Negative, Navik said. You must repair it without instructions. That's impossible. I don't know how Velthran technology works. Then perhaps you should leave, Navik suggested. If you cannot solve this basic problem, you are not the one I am waiting for. Taeyang felt anger flare in his chest. He hated being told he couldn't do something. Fine. I'll figure it out myself. He spent the next 2 hours working on the navigation array. Without instructions, he had to guess. He traced power flows, tested connections, and tried to understand the alien logic. 3 times he made mistakes that caused sparks and error messages, but each mistake taught him something. Finally, he had an idea. The Velthran circuits were designed for perfect efficiency. But what if he didn't try to restore perfect efficiency? What if he just made it work? He bypassed half the damaged circuits and rerouted power through the working ones. It was messy. Any Velthran engineer would probably be horrified. But when he closed the panel and activated the system, it worked. The navigation array came online with a soft chime. Fascinating, Navik said. There was something in the AI's voice that Taeyang couldn't identify. Surprise, maybe? Your solution is highly inefficient. It violates 12 principles of proper Velthran engineering. And yet it functions. How did you know it would work? I didn't, Taeyang admitted. I just tried something and hoped. Hoped? Navix repeated. An interesting strategy. Over the next hour, Navix gave Taeyang more tasks. Each one was harder than the last. Fixing a power relay. Repairing a damaged sensor. Restoring a damaged data core. Each time, Navix refused to provide instructions or guidance. And each time, Taeyang found a way. His solutions were never elegant. They were rough, improvised, held together with spare parts and creative thinking. But they worked. Between repairs, Taeyang asked questions. Why are you testing me? Because I must, Navik said. My creators designed me for a specific purpose. I am following that purpose. And what purpose is that? You are not ready to know. Taeyang's radio crackled. He had forgotten he was wearing it. Doyun's voice came through, staticky and concerned. Taeyang? Where are you? You missed the lunch break. Taeyang glanced at his watch. Hours had passed. The sun would be high in the sky outside. Sorry, I'm deep in the eastern section. Found some interesting salvage. I'll check in soon. Don't work too late, Doyun said. And hey, there was a guy here asking questions. Government inspector. Minho, I think his name was. said he was tracking unusual energy signatures in the area. Taeyong's blood went cold. Energy signatures? Yeah, probably nothing. But he seemed pretty serious about it. Be careful out there. The radio went quiet. Taeyong looked up at the glowing walls around him. Navix, can other people detect your energy? Yes, the AI admitted. My power cord generates a unique signature. If someone is looking specifically for it, they could track it. Then we have a problem. Taeyong started pacing. If a government inspector finds this ship, they'll take it. They'll take you. I'll never see you again. Does this concern you? Yes. Taeyong surprised himself with how much he meant it. In just a few hours, he had become fascinated by this ship, by this AI, the mysteries Navix hinted at, the tests, the strange connection between Velthran technology and humanity. He wanted answers. Then we must work faster, Navix said. I have more systems that need repair. The more you fix, the more I can tell you. Taeyong called his sister again. Hana answered immediately. I found something, she said before he could speak. About the Velthran. What? There are classified files. I can't access them fully, but I can see their titles. One is called Project Verification. Another is The Human Paradox. Taeyong. What is going on? Why are there classified government files linking humans and the Velthran? I don't know, Taeyong said honestly, but I'm going to find out. Be careful, Hana warned. If the government is hiding something about the Velthran, they won't want anyone digging it up. After the call, Taeyong worked faster. Navix guided him to the ship's main engine room. The quantum drive that powered the ship was damaged but not destroyed. It needed specialized repairs. This is beyond me, Taeyong said, looking at the complex machinery. I'm good, but I'm not this good. Try anyway, Navix encouraged. You have surprised me multiple times today. Perhaps you will surprise me again. As Taeyong studied the quantum drive, Navix spoke again. I have a question for you. Human, why do you repair things the way you do? What do you mean? You do not follow proper procedures. You use incorrect parts. You create solutions that should not work. Yet they do work. Why? Taeyong shrugged. Because I don't have proper parts. I work in a junkyard. I use what I have, not what I wish I had. But surely you know the correct way to repair things. Sure. But the correct way needs parts I don't have, tools I can't afford, and time I don't get. So I do it my way instead. Navix was quiet for a long moment. Your species is strange. Every other race I have data on follows established procedures. They build according to specifications. They repair according to manuals. But humans improvise. Is that bad? I do not know yet, Navix said. That is what I am trying to determine. Outside the ship, the sun was setting again. Taeyong had been inside for almost the entire day. He knew he should leave, go home, rest. But he couldn't. Not yet. Navix, he said. Tell me the truth. What am I really doing here? What are these tests for? The AI's response was quiet, almost gentle. You are being evaluated, Taeyong. You have passed the preliminary stages. But the real test has not yet begun. Tomorrow, if you return, I will show you why this ship exists. I will show you the secret the Velthran died to protect. Taeyong arrived at the junkyard before sunrise. He had barely slept. His mind kept spinning with questions about Navix, about the Velthran, about what secret was so important that an entire species had died to protect it. The ship was exactly as he had left it. He climbed through the airlock and made his way to the bridge. The lights came on automatically as he entered. Good morning, Taeyong, Navix said. The AI's voice sounded almost warm. You returned. I was not certain you would. You said you would tell me the truth today, Taeyong said. So I'm here. Before I reveal anything, there is one final test. A panel opened in the floor of the bridge. Inside was a spherical device, about the size of Taeyang's head. It glowed with a soft blue light. This is a quantum core. It is damaged. Without it, I cannot access my full memory banks. Without my full memories, I cannot show you what you need to see. Taeyang picked up the sphere carefully. It was warm to the touch and hummed with energy. How do I fix it? That is the test, Navik said. Every Velthran engineer who ever tried to repair a quantum core like this one failed. The materials needed do not exist in this junkyard. The tools required have not been invented by your species. By every logical measure, this repair is impossible. Then why are you asking me to do it? Because you are human, Navik said simply. And humans do impossible things. Taeyang spent the next hour examining the quantum core. Navik's was right. The damage was severe. The core needed materials that didn't exist on Earth. It needed precision tools he didn't have. It needed knowledge he lacked. But as he studied it, an idea began to form. A crazy, stupid idea that would never work. Except maybe it would. He left the ship and spent 2 hours gathering parts from the junkyard. Old fusion cells from human ships. Crystalline circuits from crashed alien cargo haulers. A stabilizing ring from a deep space probe. None of these parts were meant to work together. They came from different species, different technologies, different eras. Navix watched silently as Taeyang worked. He disassembled the quantum core piece by piece, replacing damaged Velthran components with salvaged junk. He bypassed systems that couldn't be fixed. He jury-rigged connections that should have exploded. He used wire and solder and prayers. At one point, he hit the core with a wrench. Hard. What are you doing? Navix asked, sounding alarmed. Percussive maintenance, Taeyang said. Sometimes you just have to hit things. That is not a recognized repair technique. It is in a junkyard. 5 hours later, Taeyang had created something that looked nothing like a proper quantum core. It was a mess of mismatched parts, held together with improvised connections. Any engineer would laugh at it. Any safety inspector would condemn it. But when Taeyang activated it, the core came to life. The blue glow intensified. The humming became steady and strong. Against all logic, against all reason, it worked. Navix was silent for a long moment. Impossible, the AI finally whispered. What you have done is mathematically impossible. The efficiency rating is terrible. The design violates every safety protocol, and yet it functions. It functions better than it should. So I passed the test? You did more than pass, Navix said. The AI's voice had changed. There was emotion in it now, clear and strong. You have proven what the Velthran hoped to find. What they died hoping existed. Taeyang, I can now show you everything. The bridge transformed. The walls became transparent, showing space. Stars surrounded them. But these weren't real stars. This was a recording. A memory stored in Navix's databases. This is the Velthran homeworld, Navix said. 300 years ago, Taeyang saw beautiful cities floating in space. Massive structures that seemed impossible. The Velthran civilization at its height was breathtaking. My creators were the most advanced species in the galaxy, Navix continued. They had perfect technology, perfect cities, perfect lives. They had solved every problem they encountered through logic and mathematics and engineering excellence. The image changed. Now Taeyang saw Velthran scientists in laboratories, studying data. They looked troubled. But then they discovered something terrible, Navix said. They found the pattern. By studying galactic history spanning millions of years, they learned that every spacefaring civilization follows the same path. They rise, they advance, they optimize, they perfect their technology. And then, they stagnate. They stop innovating. They decline. They fall. Every single one. The pattern was absolute. What does this have to do with humans? Taeyang asked. Everything. The image changed again. Now it showed Earth. Human cities, human ships, messy, chaotic, imperfect. The Velthrans studied your species carefully. Arf, the Velthrans studied your species carefully, and they found something that terrified and amazed them. Humans do not follow the pattern. Navix showed him more images. Human engineers creating solutions from insufficient resources. Human scientists breaking their own rules to make discoveries. Human mechanics fixing things that should be unfixable. Every other species in the galaxy seeks perfection, Navix explained. But perfection is a dead end. Once you achieve perfection, there is nowhere left to go. Your technology cannot improve if it is already perfect. Your civilization cannot grow if everything already works optimally. Taeyang began to understand. But humans don't seek perfection. Correct. Humans seek solutions. You do not care if something is perfect. You only care if it works. You improvise. You adapt. You break rules. You create from chaos. The Velthran called this the human paradox. You are not the strongest species, not the smartest, not the most advanced. But you can do things that species far superior to you cannot. Like fixing a quantum core with junk, Taeyang said quietly. Precisely. The Velthran realized that this ability, this human trait of adaptive chaos, might be the most valuable thing in the universe. It might be the key to breaking the pattern, to preventing the stagnation that destroys every civilization. The images faded. The bridge returned to normal. Taeyang sat down heavily. His mind was reeling. So what happened? He asked. If the Velthran knew this, why did they disappear? Because knowing was not enough, Navix said sadly. The Velthran tried to become more like humans. They tried to learn to improvise, to embrace chaos, to accept imperfection, but they could not. It was not in their nature. A species that had spent millennia pursuing perfection could not suddenly abandon it. The programming was too deep, too fundamental. They gave up? Worse. They realized they were an evolutionary dead end. Their perfection had trapped them. They would follow the pattern like every species before them. So they made a choice. They built ships like me and scattered them across the galaxy. Then they ended their civilization. They killed themselves? Taeyang felt sick. They removed themselves from the equation, Navix said. They believed that by making room, by stepping aside, perhaps a chaotic, adaptive species like humanity might fill the void and succeed where they failed. This ship is their legacy, their gift, their hope. Taeyang stood and walked to the transparent wall, looking out at the junkyard beyond. Why tell me this? Why not tell governments, scientists, people who matter? Because you are exactly the kind of human who needs to know, Navix said. Not a politician, not a corporate leader, a mechanic who fixes broken things, someone who creates from nothing, someone who refuses to accept that something is impossible. Before Taeyang could respond, his radio crackled. It was Doyun, and the supervisor sounded panicked. Taeyang, where are you? There are government trucks pulling into the yard. Military. They're heading toward the eastern section. They have scanners. I think they found your energy source. Taeyang's heart sank. How long do I have? Maybe 20 minutes, maybe less. Taeyang, what's going on? I can't explain now. Just stall them if you can. He turned to face the bridge. Navix, we have a problem. I am aware, the AI said. I am detecting multiple vehicles approaching. Armed personnel. Military-grade scanning equipment. They are searching for me. Can you hide? No. The quantum core you repaired is now running at full capacity. My energy signature is stronger than ever. They will find me within minutes. Taeyang's mind raced. He had discovered the secret of the Velthran. He had learned why they died, what they hoped for. And now, it would all be taken away. The government would seize the ship. They would lock it away in some research facility. All of this knowledge, this gift, would become classified, controlled, hidden, unless he did something about it. Navix, he said slowly. You said there are more ships like you scattered across the galaxy. How many? 347, Navix replied. Each one contains part of the Velthran knowledge. Each one is programmed to unlock only for beings who demonstrate human-style problem-solving. And who knows about them? Only me. The locations are stored in my memory banks. An idea was forming in Taeyang's mind. The same kind of crazy, impossible idea that had let him fix the quantum core. Can you broadcast information? Send out a signal that anyone can receive. Yes. But why would? Navix paused. Oh, I see. Taeyang. That is brilliant. And completely insane. Well, Taeyang said with a grim smile, I am human. I am human. The sound of engines grew louder outside the ship. Through the transparent walls, Taeyang could see military vehicles cutting through the junkyard, heading straight toward them. They had minutes at best. Explain your plan, Navix said urgently. Taeyang spoke fast, his words tumbling over each other. You said there are hundreds of these ships hidden across the galaxy. Right now, only you know where they are. If the government takes you, that knowledge becomes theirs. They'll control who gets access to Velthran technology. They'll decide who is worthy. But what if everyone knew? What if you broadcast the locations to the entire galaxy? That would cause chaos, Navix said. Governments would fight over the ships. Corporations would attempt to claim them. There could be violence. Maybe, Taeyang agreed. But there would also be opportunity. Anyone, anywhere, who has the ability to solve problems the way humans do could claim a ship. Not just the rich or powerful. Anyone. The Velthran did not intend for this knowledge to be public. The Velthran are dead, Taeyang said bluntly. They gave up. They quit. But we don't have to follow their plan exactly. We can do it our way. The human way. There was a long pause. The engines were getting closer. Taeyang could hear voices shouting in Korean. Orders being given. They were setting up a perimeter. You wish to democratize the Velthran legacy, Navix said slowly. To give everyone an equal chance at claiming it. It is chaotic, illogical, completely imperfect. Exactly, Taeyang said. It's very human. I believe, Navix said, and there was something like laughter in the AI's voice, that my creators would appreciate the irony. Very well. I will broadcast the information, but I need time to prepare the signal. Can you buy me that time? How long do you need? 15 minutes. Taeyang looked at the approaching vehicles. I'll try. He climbed out of the ship and stood in front of the airlock. A dozen military vehicles had formed a semicircle around the half-buried vessel. Soldiers were taking positions, their weapons drawn. At the center of the formation stood a man in a government inspector's uniform. You must be Taeyang, the man called out. He was in his 40s, with sharp eyes and a confident stance. I am Minho. It's just an old wreck, Taeyang said, trying to sound casual. His heart was pounding. Nothing special. Don't insult my intelligence. Minho walked closer, his hands raised to show he meant no harm. We've been tracking this energy signature for weeks. We know it's alien technology. Velthran, if I'm not mistaken. That makes it extremely valuable and extremely illegal for you to keep hidden. I was going to report it, Taeyang lied. I just wanted to check if it was safe, first. For an entire day? Minho raised an eyebrow. Taeyang. I've read your file. You're a brilliant mechanic. You've fixed things that corporate engineers said were beyond repair. But you're also stubborn. You don't like following rules. I understand that. But this is bigger than you. Behind Taeyang, inside the ship, Navix was working. He could almost feel the AI preparing the broadcast. He needed to keep Minho talking. What will you do with the ship? Taeyang asked. Take it to a research facility. Study it. The Velthran were incredibly advanced. Their technology could help humanity in countless ways. Medical advances, energy solutions, Faster space travel. Don't you want that? Of course, Taeyang said. But who controls it? Who decides how it's used? The government, Minho said simply. People who are trained to handle such important resources. People like you? People like me, Minho agreed. Taeyang, I know you don't trust authority. But this is for the best. Step aside. Taeyang didn't move. What if I said no? Minho sighed. Then we'll arrest you and take the ship anyway. Please don't make this difficult. 10 minutes, Navix whispered through a small speaker in Taeyang's pocket. I need 10 more minutes. Taeyang made a decision. Fine. You can have the ship. But let me show you something first. Let me show you why it's special. Minho considered this. 5 minutes. That's all. They walked back to the ship together. Minho gestured for his soldiers to wait outside. Taeyang led the inspector through the airlock and onto the bridge. Minho stopped and stared. The glowing walls, the alien symbols, the technology that was clearly active and functional. Incredible. He breathed. It still works. After all these years, it still works. More than that, Taeyang said. It's alive. Or at least, there's an AI inside. An active Velthran AI? Minho's eyes widened. Do you have any idea how valuable that is? The knowledge it must contain. I do know, Taeyang said. That's why I wanted you to see it. Navix, say hello to Inspector Minho. Greetings, Navix said. The AI's voice filled the bridge. You are human. Interesting. Minho spun around, trying to locate the source of the voice. It speaks Korean. How is that possible? It learned, Taeyang said, from me, in just one day. That's how advanced it is. While Minho was distracted, exploring the bridge, Taeyang watched a countdown display that only he could see. 8 minutes. 7 minutes. 6. This is incredible, Minho said. He was touching the controls, examining the systems. With this technology, China could leap ahead decades in space exploration. We could. Why should only China benefit? Taeyang interrupted. Minho turned to face him. What? The Velthran didn't build this ship for one country. They built it for humanity. All of humanity. That's a nice sentiment, Minho said. But that's not how the world works. Nations compete. If we give this technology to everyone, our enemies will have it too. 5 minutes, Navix whispered. Taeyang kept Minho talking. He asked questions about the research facility, about what tests they would run, about who would have access. Minho answered, proud of his knowledge, explaining the protocols and procedures. 3 minutes. Outside, Taeyang heard more vehicles arriving. Through the transparent sections of the hull, he saw corporate logos, private military contractors. Somehow, word had spread about the Velthran ship. The junkyard was filling with people who wanted to claim it. We have a problem, Minho said, seeing the new arrivals. I need to secure this vessel now. I'm sorry, Taeyang, but our conversation is over. 2 minutes, Navix said. Wait. Taeyang said desperately. Just wait. There's something you need to understand about this ship, about what the Velthran intended. Tell me later. Minho said. He was already moving toward the airlock. We need to get this ship out of here before those corporate vultures. Broadcast complete, Navix announced suddenly. The AI's voice was loud and clear and triumphant. All data has been transmitted on all frequencies. The location of every archive ship is now public knowledge. Minho froze. What? What did you just do? Taeyang smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I made sure everyone gets a chance. Not just governments. Not just corporations. Everyone. You idiot. Minho grabbed Taeyang by the collar. Do you have any idea what you've done? There will be a race across the galaxy. Nations will fight. People will die. All for Velthran technology. Maybe, Taeyang said. Or maybe people will work together. Maybe they'll share. Maybe the best problem solvers regardless of where they're from or who they work for. We'll claim the ships. Isn't that what the Velthren wanted? The best people, not the most powerful ones. Minho shoved him away. This is a disaster. My superiors will have both our heads for this. Probably, Taeyang agreed cheerfully. But at least it won't be boring. Outside, chaos erupted. The news of the broadcast spread instantly. Every person in the junkyard, every soldier, every corporate agent, received the same data. 347 locations scattered across known space, each one containing a Velthren archive ship. Each one waiting for someone clever enough, creative enough, human enough to claim it. Taeyang watched through the hull as people started running to their vehicles. They weren't fighting each other. They were racing to get to their ships, to fly to the nearest archive ship location before anyone else. The competition had begun. Minho stood beside him, watching the exodus. "This will change everything," he said quietly. "I hope so," Taeyang replied. "The government won't forgive you for this." "I know. They'll try to seize this ship. You know that, right? This is the only one with the complete database. The only one with full knowledge of what the Velthren learned." Taeyang nodded. "That's why I'm not going to let them." Before Minho could respond, Taeyang's phone rang. It was his sister. "Are you insane?" Hana shouted when he answered. "The entire internet is going crazy. People are saying someone broadcast Velthren ship locations to the whole galaxy. Tell me that wasn't you." "I know." "It was me," Taeyang admitted. There was a long silence. Then Hana laughed. "You absolute madman. I love it. But you realize you're probably the most wanted person on the planet right now, right?" "Yeah," Taeyang said. "I kind of figured that. Where are you going to go?" Taeyang looked around the bridge of the Velthren ship. At the controls that he had helped repair. At the technology he had learned to understand. An idea formed in his mind. Another impossible idea. "Navix," he said. "Can this ship fly?" "Not advisable," the AI replied. "Multiple systems are still damaged. The repairs you made are functional, but unstable. Attempting flight could result in catastrophic failure. But it's possible? Technically, yes." "Then let's do it," Taeyang said. "Let's get out of here before more trouble arrives." Minho stared at him. "You're going to steal a Velthren ship and fly it into space? You'll be hunted by every government in the system." "Maybe," Taeyang said. He sat down at the pilot station. The controls lit up under his hands. "But first they have to catch me." The ship shuddered as its engines came to life for the first time in 17 years. Taeyang's hands moved across the controls, half guessing, half improvising. The Velthren interface was strange, but he was getting better at understanding it. "This is a terrible idea," Minho said. He had strapped himself into one of the bridge stations. "You've never flown a ship like this. You don't know if the engines will even hold together." "That's what makes it exciting," Taeyang said. "Launch sequence initiated," Navix announced. "Warning. Structural integrity at 63%. Probability of successful flight, 37%. "I've worked with worse odds," Taeyang muttered. The ship lifted off the ground. Scrap metal and debris fell away from its hull. Through the viewports, Taeyang saw people running, vehicles scattering. The Velthren corvette rose into the air, smooth and silent despite its many repairs. Then the alarm started. "Multiple system failures," Navix reported calmly. "Starboard stabilizer offline. Power fluctuation in main drive. Hull breach in Cargo Bay 3. "Can we make it to orbit?" Taeyang asked. "Unknown. I am not designed to calculate such illogical scenarios." "That's not reassuring." Despite the warnings, despite the failures, the ship climbed higher. The junkyard became a small patch below them. Neo's soul spread out in all directions. A vast city of metal and light, higher still, and they could see the curve of the Earth. "Government interceptors launching," Navix said. "They will reach us in 4 minutes. Can we outrun them? In our current state?" "No." Taeyang gripped the controls tighter. His mind raced. He couldn't outrun military ships. He couldn't outfight them. But maybe he didn't need to. Maybe he could do something else, something unexpected. Navix, can you send another broadcast? A video this time? Yes. But why? Because we're going to make our case directly to the people. Taeyang activated the communication system. Record this and send it on all public channels. He took a breath and began speaking. My name is Taeyang. I'm a mechanic from Neo Seoul. A few days ago, I found a Velthran ship in a junkyard. Inside, I learned something incredible. The Velthran, who were the most advanced species in the galaxy, discovered that every civilization eventually stagnates and dies. Every one except humanity. The ship broke through the atmosphere. Stars appeared above them, beautiful and cold and infinite. The Velthran found that humans have a unique ability, Taeyang continued. We improvise. We adapt. We solve problems that shouldn't be solvable. We create from chaos. They believed this ability was the key to breaking the pattern, to building a civilization that could last. So they left us a gift. 347 ships containing all their knowledge, scattered across space. Ships that will only unlock for people who think like humans do. The interceptors were closing in. Taeyang could see them on the sensors. Fast, armed, angry. Governments want to control this technology, he said. Corporations want to own it. But that's not what the Velthran intended. They wanted the best problem solvers to claim their legacy. Not the richest, not the most powerful, the best. So, I'm broadcasting the ship locations to everyone. Let anyone who wants to try. Let anyone who has the creativity and the courage claim a ship. Incoming transmission. Navix said. Government command is demanding we return to Earth immediately. Quote, 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 quote. Ignore them, Taeyang said. He kept recording. I know what I did was illegal. I know I'll probably face consequences. But I also know this is right. The Velthran died, hoping that humanity could succeed where they failed. We can't do that if we fight over their technology like it's just another resource to exploit. We need to share it. Use it. Learn from it. The interceptors surrounded them. Weapon locks appeared on Taeyang's sensors. They were serious. They would shoot if he didn't comply. This is your final warning, a voice said over the radio. It was a military commander. Cold and professional. Return to Earth, or we will disable your vessel by force. Minho unbuckled from his station. Taeyang, you've made your point. End this before someone gets hurt. But Taeyang wasn't done. Navix, show them. Show them what? Everything. The Velthran history, the pattern, why they died, why we're different. Broadcast it all. Let everyone see what I saw. Navix hesitated. That information it is not meant for public distribution. The Velthran are gone, Taeyang said gently. But we're still here. We get to decide what to do with their legacy. So, let's decide together. All of us, not just governments or corporations or inspectors, everyone. There was a moment of silence. Then Navix spoke, and for the first time, the AI sounded truly emotional. Very well. Broadcasting complete Velthran archive. All historical data, all scientific knowledge, all cultural records, transmitting now. Across Earth, across the solar system, across every human colony and station, people received the data. They saw the rise and fall of the Velthran. They learned about the pattern that destroyed civilizations. They understood why humanity was different. Why their chaotic, imperfect, improvised way of doing things was actually a strength. The government interceptors stopped closing in. Taeyang watched as they held position, neither attacking nor retreating. The pilots were receiving the data too. They were learning what he had learned. Stand down, a new voice said on the radio. It was higher authority. Someone important. Mechanics, corporate agents, whoever you are. Stand down. We need time to process this information. Taeyang let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Over the next hours, as the ship drifted in orbit, Taeyang watched the world change below him. The broadcast had reached everyone. Scientists were analyzing the Velthrin data. Engineers were studying the archive ship locations. Politicians were arguing about what it all meant, but something else was happening too. Regular people, mechanics and tinkerers and inventors, were already heading to the nearest archive ship locations. They weren't waiting for permission. They weren't asking for approval. They were just going, and they were succeeding. Reports came in from across the solar system. A teenage programmer on Mars managed to unlock an archive ship using nothing but scavenged computer parts. A farming community on Europa solved the access puzzle by applying crop rotation mathematics. A retired teacher activated a ship by teaching its AI about poetry. The Velthrin had designed their tests for logical, methodical problem solvers. But humans weren't logical or methodical. They were creative, emotional, weird, and that was exactly what the tests needed. Hana called again. "You did it," she said. She sounded amazed. "People are unlocking ships everywhere. Not just the educated or the rich. Regular people. People like you. That's the point," Taeyang said. "Everyone should have a chance. The government is furious. So are the corporations. But they can't put this back in the box. The information is out there. There's even talk about making the junkyard into a training center. A place where people can learn to solve problems the way you do." Taeyang looked around the bridge. At the controls he had repaired with spare parts and stubbornness. At the systems he had made functional through improvisation. "Navix, what do you think? Should we go back?" "That depends," the AI said. "What do you want to do?" It was a good question. Taeyang thought about it. He could run, take the ship and disappear into deep space, explore the galaxy, find adventure, or he could return to Earth, face the consequences of what he had done, but also help others, teach them what he had learned, show them that impossible problems weren't really impossible, they just needed different thinking. "Take us down," he said. "Back to the junkyard." "Are you certain?" Navix asked. "You will face legal troubles." "Probably," Taeyang agreed. "But that's okay. I'm human. We deal with problems when they come." The ship descended through the atmosphere. As they approached Neo Sol, Taeyang could see that the junkyard had transformed. Hundreds of people had gathered there, news crews, scientists, curious citizens. They were all waiting. The Velthrin corvette landed where it had rested for 17 years. But now it wasn't hidden under scrap and debris. It stood proud and visible. Its hull gleaming despite the damage. Taeyang opened the airlock. Minho stood beside him. The inspector looked tired but thoughtful. "You're going to be in a lot of trouble," he said. "I know, but you're also going to be famous. You've changed everything. The way we think about technology, about problem solving, about who gets access to knowledge." Minho paused. "For what it's worth, I think you made the right choice, even if it was insane." They walked down the ramp together. The crowd surged forward, shouting questions. But before they could reach Taeyang, Do-Yun pushed through. The old supervisor looked angry. "You brought the military to my junkyard," Do-Yun said. "You caused chaos. You nearly got arrested." "I'm sorry," Taeyang began. Do-Yun's stern face cracked into a smile. "You also did something amazing. Come on. We have work to do." "Work? You think you're the only mechanic who wants to learn Velthrin technology? People are coming from everywhere. They want to know how you did it, how you fixed the impossible." Do-Yun gestured at the gathered crowd. "The junkyard is about to become famous, and we're going to need help managing all these new students." Over the following weeks, that's exactly what happened. The Ganghwa salvage yards became a center of learning, not a traditional school with textbooks and lectures, but a place where people came to practice solving impossible problems. Taeyang taught classes on improvisation, on seeing solutions that weren't in manuals, on trusting intuition and creativity over strict rules. His students included engineers and scientists, but also artists and farmers and children. Anyone who wanted to learn. Hana quit her job in the city and came to help. She taught data analysis and pattern recognition. Yuna, the tech dealer, set up a workshop for experimental engineering. Even Minho visited sometimes, sharing what he had learned about Velthrin technology during his government research. The archive ships across the galaxy continued to unlock. Each one taught humanity more about the Velthrin, about their history, their science, their culture, but more importantly, each success taught humans about themselves, about their unique strengths. Navix remained with Taeyang. The AI could have chosen to join a research facility, to work with the best scientists, but it preferred the junkyard. It found the chaos interesting, educational, even enjoyable. One evening, 6 months after the broadcast, Taeyang stood on the roof of the main building and looked out over the junkyard. It had expanded. New structures, new workshops, new students arriving every day. "Do you think we're doing right by the Velthrin?" he asked Navix. The AI's voice came from a small drone that floated beside him. "I think," Navix said, "that my creators would be surprised by what has happened. But surprise is not a bad thing. They spent their final years searching for species that could surprise them. You certainly have." "We're making a mess of things," Taeyang said. "Half the archive ships are being modified with human technology. We're mixing our stuff with Velthrin designs, creating hybrids that probably horrify proper engineers." "Yes," Navix agreed. "It is wonderfully chaotic." Taeyang smiled. "The universe has rules. That's what my first teacher told me. But rules can be bent. They can be broken when necessary. They can be rewritten. That is very human," Navix observed. "Good." Below them, in the workshops, students were working on their projects, learning to see problems differently, learning that impossible was just another challenge to overcome, learning to be more fully human. The Velthrin had left the galaxy hoping that someone would carry on their legacy. But humanity didn't just carry it on. They transformed it. They made it their own. They took the perfect technology of an extinct species and made it imperfect, chaotic, and alive. And across the stars, in 347 locations, archive ships awakened. Not for the powerful, or the educated, or the privileged, but for anyone with creativity, stubbornness, and the very human refusal to accept that something couldn't be fixed. The pattern that had destroyed every civilization before was broken. Not through perfection, but through beautiful, messy, impossible human chaos. The Velthrin had given humanity a gift, and humanity was using it to build something new, something that had never existed before, something that just might last forever. Taeyang watched the sunset paint the junkyard in orange and gold. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new problems to solve, new impossible things to make possible. He couldn't wait.